Welcome back to Palangi 21. Today I will show you Heartstopper Episode 7. Bully opens with Tori goes to see Charlie, as he gets ready to go out with Nick and his friends. Tori is worried about Nick's friends being mean, and not knowing about their relationship, but Charlie isn't concerned. He does tell her that they haven't put a label on the relationship yet since Nick isn't out to the world just yet. Charlie gets dropped off at the cinema and his dad reminds him that if he needs anything, let him know. Nick meets up with him, and tries to make Charlie feel less nervous about hanging out with his friends. Ben and Harry aren't going to be there, so he doesn't need to worry, but it turns out they do show up and start their stupid jokes right away. Nick feels really bad for not knowing that Ben and Harry were showing up because these two keep making derogatory comments about Charlie. In the theater, a scary moment causes Nick to grab Charlie's hand. On the way out of the theater, Harry starts to bother Charlie again by asking him what it is like being gay, and trying to figure out what kind of guy he likes. Nick steps in to drag Harry off when he asks if Charlie is attracted to Nick. Charlie says he isn't before storming off. Nick follows Charlie out into the parking lot, where he tries to apologize for his friends. But Charlie is used to this kind of treatment, and tells him not to worry about it. He heads off to his dad's car, leaving Nick back at the theater. But before he can get there, Ben stops him again. Ben saw him holding hands with Nick and asks if they are dating, but Charlie denies it. Then Ben says that he doesn't really like him, he's dating him just because he feels sorry for him. Back inside the theater, Nick confronts Harry and the others. Harry seems to think that Nick and Charlie need to learn to take a joke instead of realizing that he is being homophobic. The argument gets worse, and when he calls Charlie a slur, Nick punches him, causing a fight to break out. In the car on the way home, Nick's mom tries to get him to open up about what happened. He admits that the fight was over how they treated Charlie, and that he only used violence when Harry dropped the slur. Nick's mom asks him if Charlie is a really special friend, and maybe she knows that there is something more to her son's friend. The following day, Charlie gets up and heads to school. Nick isn't sitting out front like normal, but Harry is there waiting for him. Charlie realizes he has a busted lip, and Harry tells him about Nick's overreaction to the little jokes he was making at the movies. Tao arrives just as Charlie is trying to walk away, and starts arguing with Harry. Charlie tells him just to let it go and walk away. Charlie finds Nick in class and spots the bruises on his face. Nick comes clean about his fight with Harry after Charlie left. He doesn't think Charlie should have to put up with the comments or be used to them. Nick refuses to let Charlie apologize for this, and even believes that those guys aren't even his friends anymore. But Charlie doesn't want him to have to drop all of his friends just for him. Meanwhile, Tao tells Elle that he thinks that the whole argument with Harry is all his fault. Tao has put a target on both their backs by standing up to Harry. Elle shares that Harry made transphobic comments to her during her last term at Truham. Then she changes the subject, and tells Tao that she isn't surprised that Nick picked a fight with Harry since he was making comments about Charlie. Tao realizes that something more is going on between Nick and Charlie, and Elle confirms his suspicions. She also tells him that all of their other friends already know about it. Charlie wanted to tell him but was waiting for the right time. Tao is upset about being left out of this and rushes off before Elle can talk to him about it. At home, Charlie is trying to find the right words to say to Nick. He is worried that Nick doesn't want to be in this relationship anymore, and that he is causing him to get into fights with his friends. But he settles on asking Nick if he just wants to have lunch the next day. Elle comes to Tao's house with cookies in hopes of making him feel better. He apologizes for how he reacted earlier, and thinks that he knows why Charlie hasn't told him. Charlie must be worried that Tao will say something stupid in front of Nick's friends and out him to everyone. He opens up about being afraid of being alone, which Elle understands after her transfer to Higgs. The next day, Charlie meets up with Nick for lunch while promising Tao that he will meet up with him in a bit. Tao isn't happy about being second to Nick, and tells Charlie not to bother. Outside, Harry sits down across from Tao, and rips the picture and starts questioning who Elle is. When he gets up and walks over to his friends, Tao rushes over and shoves him down before grabbing the picture and pouring the rest of his apple juice on him. Inside, Charlie tries to apologize again for Nick's fight with Harry, and that all of the bad stuff that has happened is his fault. Maybe it would be better if they weren't together. But before he can say any more, another student rushes in, bringing news of Harry's fight. Everyone rushes out and watches as Tao and Harry go head-to-head. Nick rushes in and pulls Harry off of Tao while the teachers break up the fight. Then Tao confronts Charlie about not telling him about his relationship with Nick. This episode was one of the hardest to watch because they discuss the issue of homophobia. Homophobia is a huge issue that keeps people from being out and honest about who they are. We've seen Nick struggle with his sexuality, but it's also affected Charlie. He blames himself for Nick losing his friends. Their relationship is on the edge, but I hope it doesn't end that way. Thanks for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notification.